In this segment, Stephanie Miller is joined by Charlie Pierce. The two discuss the recent mass shootings and if the political climate is ready for real change. Here's Stephanie.
Just only a true political gorgon like Greg Abbott could think the immigration status of 5 slaughtered people or even that of the accused killer was relevant to this terrible event. But the easy access to weapons of war by angry drunks doesn't even get a mention. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is, I guess, a new level of despicable, but, not unsurprising for him, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just found out today. You know what is moving through the Texas state legislature right now?
What?
A bill to mandate all Texas schools have what they call a quote unquote bleeding station.
Oh my God!
Which is basically a MASH unit.
Wow.
And like everybody, and supposedly every student from like the 3rd grade up is going to have to be given lessons on how to apply tourniquets and stuff.
Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's just fine here. Everybody,
isn't it
look
just
away.
easier
Look
to
away.
get rid of the damn guns?
You'd think.
By the way, I quoted some other people, but these neighbors, you said it's a normal thing people do around here, especially on Friday after work. They get home and start drinking in their backyard and shooting out there. A few months ago, he said this same guy threatened to kill his dog after it got loose in the neighborhood. I mean, I tell my wife all the time, stay away from the neighbors. Don't argue with them. You never know how they're going to react. I tell her that because it's Texas, it's a state where you don't know who has a gun and who's going to react that way. I mean, this is just a lot of neighbors were quoted as that. It's like there's shooting all the time. We hear it.
Yeah,
all.
I mean, apparently that's the Friday night entertainment in this town.
Yeah.
It's like what, Greek Easter in Detroit.
Yeah. No,
But at least they all fire their guns straight up in the air. They don't shoot at each other.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Anyway, so Charlie
and Greg Abbott. I'm sorry, Greg Abbott is.
By the way, I'm glad that you delved into. You said, I'm sorry to be the one to remind you about Ron DeSantis' Guantanamo record. The alleged presidential campaign of Ron DeSantis is having so much trouble gaining altitude, you think Elon Musk were behind it. He seems to be extraordinarily unlikable, but he makes up by proposing policies that are extraordinarily unpopular. He picked a fight with Mickey Mouse. There's another devil in the unpleasant details. You say hundreds of enemy combatants held without charges had gone on hunger strikes at Gitmo. Mm-hmm. And DeSantis said, hey, you actually can force feed, was his recommendation at the time. Force feeding, of course, is torture. A former Guantanamo detainee recalled, as I tried to break free, I noticed DeSantis's handsome face among the crowd on the other side of the chain link. He was watching me struggle. He was smiling and laughing with other officers as I screamed in pain. Ew. I
guess if you've been locked up in a tropical prison for 8 years, Ron DeSantis would look kind of handsome.
That's that one detail. I was like, what? It's he was, I believe, assistant urinalysis manager. Charlie, have you been surprised though by the implosion of his? I think he's polling at the same rate as.
When he was in Congress, and for some reason I was down in Washington a lot while he was in Congress. Over the, trying to get rid of health care, and there's a lot going on, confirmation hearings and so forth. He was considered to be like one of the prime meatheads in Congress. Mm-hmm. Unlikable, dumb, with a terrible ambition to rise above his level of competence.
Yeah.
Which would be basically anything beyond running the Slurpee machine at a gas sip. But, I'm not surprised that he stepped onto the national stage and I don't mean to bring up bad memories, but falling into the orchestra pit.
Yeah. Well, he is polling about the same rate as Robert Kennedy Jr.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Right?
Oh.
He now trails Trump by 32 points. I mean, Charlie, I keep saying we played this Jen Psaki soundbite where she just talks about Trump's evil charisma and progressives shouldn't underestimate him again. And I don't know whether to be happy because I'm reading David Frum's piece that it's going to be a huge Biden blowout if it's Trump again. And I don't know whether to be terrified or happy. The Republican Party
I want somebody to explain to me how it's not going to be Trump again.
Yeah.
Who's going to beat him? Who's out there right now? Who's going to beat him?
Yeah.
Nikki Haley?
They're saying this article saying DeSantis at the moment is not building a base. He's dividing Republicans and allowing Trump to claim an electability mantle. The general electorate remains opposed to a 6-week abortion ban and his position on Disney. So no, I guess you and I think Bob Seska has said the same thing, right? That he just always thought he was going to implode on the national stage.
Same here. He's like Scott Walker,
thin-skinned and dumb, and just
I'll tell you, Walker surprised me more than DeSantis does.
Yeah.
Because I thought Walker had, having faced down the unions and everything in Wisconsin, I thought he had a real political base. And he turned out to be, have the personality of a lemon zester. But
oh, that's an insult to lemon zesters.
Well, it's the only time anybody would apply zest to Scott.
Yeah, that's true. Nothing zesty about it.
It does seem like there's it's the biggest bag of rats ever. But Trump sparked an online spat between two prominent MAGA world figures over the weekend. He took a swipe at his former press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany. He said, he wrote, I guess Kayleigh's no longer speaking so favorably about de-sanctimonious now that his polls are shot. So, because I guess McEnany, right, urged Ron DeSantis to join the presidential race. And then far-right provocateur and Trump loyalist Laura Loomer shared Trump's comment, took aim at McInerney, and said over the last few months she's been a cheerleader for Ron DeSantis, even though she owes her career to President Trump. They just, it's a big bag of rats every day. I can't keep track of who's...
McEnany, by the way. Not
McEnany.
Yeah, they just don't
Kayleigh with the IEGH.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, I finished. For the last in the bottom of the bag of rats, Loomer's comments ruffled some feathers in MAGA world as Jenna Ellis, a former Trump campaign lawyer, weighed in to defend McEnany.
Oh, no.
Ellis herself has accused MAGA world of harassing her since she signaled support for DeSantis. I mean, I think there are people that are desperate in the Republican Party for anybody but Trump, but apparently it's not DeSantis, right?
Well, it's not anybody. There's nobody out there. You look around the country. Who would the alternative be? The Democrats have all the governors that would stand a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking this because I would, back when I wondered if Biden was going to run. Who's the most prominent? The most prominent Republican in the country right now is Kevin McCarthy.
Yep.
Okay.
And he's not going to run. He's not going to run. Not going to run for president. Come on.
Right. What is your?
They all blew. A lot of the young guys, a lot of the young hopefuls of the Republican Party, and I use both young and hopeful in the broadest sense of the word.
Yeah, what a sad state of affairs. Okay, what's your take on the E. Jean Carroll trial? We've just been talking about how I just think she's speaking for so many women, and it is so. I just applaud her bravery, and yet it's Exhibit A and why most women don't come forward, right?
Yeah, well, and by the way, if I am ever accused of felony murder and facing death penalty in, say, I don't know, Oklahoma, please don't hire Joe Tacopina to represent me.
Yeah. No, exactly.
This is a guy who didn't know who Jonathan Swift was.
Thank you.
Oh, my God. The judge got a literary reference he didn't get, and so I think that made him mad.
Made him real mad.